Raider Nation, it's been a long day. My name is Mitchell Renz with more breaking news around the silver and black. The Las Vegas Raiders have traded for quarterback Kenny Pickett. In exchange, the Raiders give up a fifth-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. The Cleveland Browns end up sending us Kenny Pickett. Now, I know this for a fact. If I would have said to all y'all, the Raiders traded for a quarterback from the Browns, I don't think that Pickett would have been the name that y'all have went with. But to me, we're going to get into all the reasons why the Raiders decided to go this route, because I think that there are a multitude of different reasons. But the first question that I have from you is, who won the trade? Did the Raiders or did the Browns? Please let me know down below who you think honestly ended up winning this deal, because I think that you can make an argument for both sides. I'm going to illustrate to all of y'all why I think the Raiders did slightly overpay, but I think they overpaid because they believe in themselves and they have a long-term plan with Kenny Pickett. Now, the news was broke by Adam Schefter, and it said the Browns are sending quarterback Kenny Pickett to the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders needed another backup QB for Geno Smith, with quarterback Aidan O'Connell fracturing his wrist in the preseason finale after being expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. So the trade details are as follows, and I'm a man of my word. When Raiders news happens, I'm going to give you guys the content that you're looking for. It's why you should subscribe. It's why you should have those notifications on. The other reason why you should subscribe, if I can say it correctly, is you're going to be a smarter Raider fan watching the show, because there's going to be a lot of people going, why did the Raiders do this? I'm going to tell you today why the Raiders decided to go this route, because there are many, many reasons. Let's first, though, talk about the first reason to me of why I think that the Raiders decided to go this route with Kenny Pickett. The first reason is the injury to Aidan O'Connell. And the injury to Aidan O'Connell, him being out 6 to 8 weeks with that fractured wrist, tells me that they're probably going to figure out a way to come up with an injury settlement, and they're going to figure out a way to move on from him and Pickett your new quarterback too. With him being out 6 to 8 weeks, think about today's date, August 25th. If the Raiders wanted to keep Aidan, they would have to keep him on the 53-man roster. And then after the fact, then you would put him on the short-term IR. That would put Aidan to return week 5. That is a very, very close timeline that I don't think the Raiders are comfortable with, because essentially what you're doing is you're saying, all right, Aidan, you're going to be that backup quarterback, and when you come back then, we're expecting you to be ready to go. I don't think the Raiders wanted to play that game. I think the Raiders really, truly only wanted to keep 3 quarterbacks, and because of that, they're going to end up keeping Cam Miller, Kenny Pickett, and Geno Smith. And I think they're going to figure out a way to move on from Aidan O'Connell. Hell, maybe Aidan O'Connell is involved in a crazy trade that we will talk about at the very, very end of today's show, because honestly, I think that he might be involved in a crazy trade, and we'll talk about it at the end of this program. But to me, you now have your brand new quarterback too. And for the Raiders, I've always been somebody that has said good organizations have a good backup quarterback. Is Kenny Pickett an upgrade over Aidan O'Connell? The answer to that is yes to me. I believe Kenny Pickett is an upgrade over AOC. Do I think that the Raiders overpaid a little bit for Pickett? Yes, I do. But I think that they overpaid because I feel like that they felt like they had to, because they want Cam Miller to be able to develop, and then they knew if they didn't go out and get another quarterback, then Miller might not have been able to develop. Now, you're going to be able to rip on Kenny Pickett's small hands, and I will say that I think Pickett is going to be a better quarterback with the Raiders, with Chip Kelly, with our front office, and he's going to be a better quarterback in the dome. Last season with the Philadelphia Eagles, 59.9% completion percentage, 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, that quarterback rating of 86.5. But I also always talk about connection. And the Raiders have a connection with Brandon Hunt and with Anthony Patch, who was with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they are now a part of this Raiders organization. But I also know the Kenny Pickett story goes way beyond that. I'm from Central Pennsylvania. I got a lot of Eagles friends. I got a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers friends. Shout out to the 570 and let me know where your area code is from. And when the Steelers drafted him in the first round back in 2022, there was a lot of people that didn't like what they saw. I'll also say, like Mike Tomlin has done a little bit of an interesting job being able to develop quarterbacks since Ben Roethlisberger. There's also been tons of overlap, tons of change with the Pittsburgh Steelers on offense, whether it be wide receivers, whether it be offensive coordinators. And I do think that this is the best offense. I think that this is the best team for Kenny Pickett. I'm not saying that this Raiders offense is better than the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl winning offense. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for the type of quarterback that Kenny Pickett is, this is going to be the offense that fits him the best. He's not a running quarterback, but he can at least use his legs, something that Aidan O'Connell, unfortunately, wasn't able to do. The final reason why I think the Raiders went out and made this trade, well, actually, how about this? I'll give you my final reason why I think the Raiders went out and made this trade. But first, I got to show some love to our sponsor, PrizePicks, and they've been really, really busy today, I'll tell you that. And this episode, this Kenny Pickett trade, is brought to you by PrizePicks. Preseason football is underway and college football is here. So don't miss any of the action this season on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. If your lineup isn't perfect, you can also double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. That's what's known as the flex play. And I also want to mention this again. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. If you want to know with one of the lineups that I'm rolling with this season, I took Dak Prescott more on half a passing yard. That's a gimme, right? That's the prize pick deal that they're willing to hook you up with. I also went more with Brock Bowers, Geno Smith, and Jakobi Meyers, which you can see there. And I ended up going less on Jack Besh, the receiving yards. This is a $20 lineup to win $320. And if you're looking to run your game all season long, I hope that you do it on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Also, it's available to y'all down in the live chat right now. Shout out to my guy, Cullen. It's also going to be available to y'all down in the description. And that is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game, and I hope that you run your game all season long with me, and I hope you run your game all season long with our sponsor, PrizePicks. All right, let's now go into the next reason here of why I believe the Las Vegas Raiders ended up making a trade for Kenny Pickett. They believe in this staff. They believe in themselves. And think about, let's start at the top, Tom Brady. Tom Brady has been somebody that's been doubted his entire career, turned out to be the greatest quarterback of all time. But Tom Brady and John Spytek, they teamed up. They went down there, and they won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. That matters to a lot of people. John Spytek also helped get Tom Brady kind of like going a bit when people thought Brady was washed. John Spytek also helped Baker Mayfield turn his career around, where Mayfield at one time was the third-string safety or whatever the hell in the practice squad for Carolina, and now he's one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. Spytek has shown you that he can turn a quarterback around if you have been somewhat of a castaway. Pete Carroll, another great example. Russell Wilson wasn't somebody that a lot of people had confidence in, but Russell Wilson bought into what Pete was selling, ended up having a hell of a career, if you ask me. Geno Smith, a castaway. Nobody thought he was going to be any good. Kenny Pickett, Geno Smith, first-round picks. And I think that you're looking at that type of situation and you're going, all right, well, Pete Carroll was able to make a quarterback and turn him into a franchise guy. Can you do that with a young Kenny Pickett? I don't know. Another guy, Chip Kelly. I think he's one of the best X's and O's coaches that there is out there. He just won a national championship, for the love of God, with Will Howard, who might be the worst quarterback of all time to win a national championship. And I think Chip Kelly is very confident in his ability to be able to coach up quarterbacks. The last name that I'm going to bring up here is going to be Greg Olsen. And Greg Olsen is somebody who also is regarded as one of the smartest quarterback coaches in the NFL. Somebody who has come from the Sean McVay tree. Somebody who's worked with a quarterback with tiny hands like Derek Carr. And I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett is going to be this world beater, but I understand the idea of a team believing in themselves because they've been there, they've done it, and they haven't just done it once or twice. They've done it so many flipping times that now they're going to go out and they're going to find a quarterback that they believe is better than the guy that they already had and a better fit in the offense overall, and they're going to invest into that. Kenny Pickett trade to me says we are moving on from Aidan O'Connell. It says that we are planning on rolling with Kenny Pickett, and we're going to try to develop him over the next few seasons, and we're going to let Cam Miller also develop over the next few seasons. I don't think that Kenny Pickett is a long-term option. I don't think Cam Miller is a long-term option. But good organizations have good backup quarterbacks. Good organizations like the Philadelphia Eagles, where we had Brandon Hunt come from. where we had Anthony Patch come from. They won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, and that's when everybody thought Nick Foles was garbage, that he wasn't going to be good enough because Carson Wentz went down. I would say sit back and look at if a guy like, if a guy like I'm losing my train of thought. I just saw a crazy tweet. If a guy like, I know I'm losing my mind, Nick Foles can win a Super Bowl, why can't a guy like Kenny Pickett? That's how I'll say this. But Kenny Pickett is the newest Raider here, and before I get out, I do want to throw out a crazy trade idea that has been floated out by Ricky Scoops, and this is somebody that has gotten a lot of stories right. Some people are going to look at it and not take it seriously. I would say you haven't been following along with a lot of the NFL information that's been going on. And Ricky said that the Raiders and Patriots have discussed a trade that would involve Kyle Duggar for Jakobi Meyers. I'll be transparent. This is one of the dumbest trades that I could possibly ever imagine, and I hope the Raiders wouldn't trade Kyle Duggar for Jakobi Meyers straight up. It's ungodly dumb. I will say, though, you know who's going to be a team that's very interested in Aidan O'Connell? The New England Patriots. Josh McDaniels was a part of the regime that ended up drafting him, and I wouldn't be surprised if a trade actually ended up happening if Aidan O'Connell in some way, shape, or form was a part of that, and in some way, shape, or form was connected, because it'll be interesting. But in terms of Duggar, you're going to look at his stats last season, and I understand that some people are going to go, well, Mitch, we need a safety. He's, to me, a little bit more of a box safety. His PFF grade last season was a 44.3. His coverage grade was a 34.8. And, yes, you're going to see the numbers. And some of the numbers are going to look good on the stat sheet. But I don't want y'all to be confused because, essentially, to me, we're going out and we're getting another box safety. I need somebody that can cover in the secondary. If it's a Kyle Duggar for Jakobi Meyers trade, to me, we better get a fourth-round pick in return. And even that, I would feel like is a loss for this organization. Now, Jakobi Meyers, I know it says one drop. Depending on who you look at, some people have it as a drop. I believe he didn't have any drops last season. He's coming off a career year. 87 catches, 1,027 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that was with just absolutely positively horrific quarterback play. And if you know that it's with bad quarterback play, I just hope that the Raiders are smart here, and I really, truly hope that the Raiders don't make a unbelievably dumb move and trade away your best wide receiver for a safety that, in all honesty, might get cut. I can't wrap my mind around how dumb it is. The only trade that's coming up to my mind is Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. And I think trading Jakobi Meyers for Kyle Duggar is as dumb as trading Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. And that's the trade that I'm going to sit on here, because whether you think Jacoby's a true number one, I don't think that he is a true number one. And he's technically the number 2 with Brock Bowers. But you're not going to find many receivers as good as Jakobi Meyers, that are as humble as Jakobi Meyers, that are going to go out there and do everything that you ask them to do and never bat an eye about it. I think the Raiders put themselves in a bad situation. I hope they end up getting this extension done. But in terms of what he's asking for, if he's asking for 22, 25 north of that, Jakobi, you got to look yourself in the mirror, homie, and you got to realize that you're more in this $17 to $18 million range. And if it's a 2 to 3 year deal, then let's get it done, because I'm sick and tired of the way today has gone. And I know that they just signed Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper is not a Jakobi Meyers replacement. Amari Cooper is your 3rd, 4th, 5th wide receiver on this team. You're hoping he's your 3rd best wide receiver on this football team. So I want to know from all of you, and this is how I'm going to end today's show. Will Jakobi Meyers get traded before the season starts? Give me a yes. Give me a no. I'm going to give you my honest answer after this YouTube ad break. I'm still going to sit up here and I'm going to say no, but I think it is a legit coin flip at this point. When there's rumors like there are rumors circulating right now, it scares the hell out of me. When the deal first ended up coming out, when I say deal, I mean when Jakobi first said, hey, I'm requesting a trade, I thought it was a Jakobi move and I thought it was an agent move to get this deal going. But by the Raiders going out and signing Amari Cooper, I do think it's a little bit of an FU to Jakobi, and I don't think it was a smart business decision. I'll also say this. There are Raiders players that are upset about how today is gone. You can blame me if you want. There are Raiders players that are not happy about the Jakobi Meyers situation and how it's transpired. If you're gonna preach commitment to excellence, if you're gonna preach doing right by your guys, I think that we got to do a better job as an organization living up to that standard, because You can't talk the talk if you're not going to walk the walk. And I think if we're going to say things like commitment to excellence, let's put our money where our mouth is, because Jakobi, to me, has done everything you could possibly ask for this entire offseason.